Welcome to the 95th edition of Spooky Reviews from Spooky Ventures. This time around, I'm looking at a new edition of the 1980 film City of the Living Dead. This movie was also released as The Gates of Hell. I should note that this is a 3-disc set, with one of those being a 4K version. I don't have a 4K player, so I couldn't watch that disc, but I watched the other two, the first of which was a Blu-Ray edition of the movie. The film is an Italian movie, but there's an English version on the disc, which is what I watched. This movie comes from the legendary director Lucio Fulci. I have to admit that while I've heard a lot about him over the years, this is the first of his movies I've seen, at least I think so. The movie is also said to be inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft, but I don't really see that connection. I mean, they renamed the town Dunwich because it was originally supposed to be called Salem, but beyond that, this is just more of a satanic paranormal film. I have mixed feelings about this movie. On the one hand, the story is not fleshed out as much as I would like. It's a little confusing and hard to follow at times. Also, the whole thing feels a little flat and lackluster. On the other hand, this has some amazingly creepy scenes. There's plenty of gore, and some of that gore, I'm sure at the time, was really pretty unsettling to people. It's still on a level of things like the original Evil Dead in terms of that aspect. By the time it's over, the story mostly makes sense. It's a pretty crazy ride in a lot of ways. For some reason, I'm reminded a little of Phantasm. That probably comes in the almost surreal, otherworldly vibe to the movie, and the fact that the story at times is a little confusing. Another movie that I was also reminded of watching this was a film that's largely forgotten, but which I really loved, One Dark Night. A lot of the reanimated body stuff in the two movies seems somewhat similar. The two undead characters responsible for all the mayhem also remind me a little of each other. Then again, this one came out first, I think. All in all, I definitely enjoyed this more than not. I mentioned that there's a second disc with bonus features. Those are pretty cool, but many of them are in Italian with subtitles, so if you aren't a fan of that, they might not resonate with you that well. Overall, this movie is pretty crazy and holds up pretty well even today. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.